We're just going to do a little intro first before I do a full introduction. Wanted to show you what the people have created for the Battle to Blood. Let's go, man. Press the button. Press the button. Where is it?
Alrighty. Press the button. This is awesome.
Yeah, nice.
Wow. Welcome to the Bow to Blood Arena.
Nice.
Oh my god. Excellent.
So cool.
Sweet. Next leg of the
Awesome.
tour.
Alrighty.
Man. Let's go.
Let's move it.
It should bring us through all at once.
Look at that stage.
Hi, I'm Matt Hoster, Design Director at Tribe Toy. Thanks for checking.
Whoa.
Oh wow, I'm excited, everyone.
Oh wow. Look at those.
That's really cool.
This is awesome.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
And
So cool.
Wait, move. What the hell's
Yeah.
that?
We have bots ejecting over. You guys
Shoot
can shoot guns if you wish.
You can shoot them.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
look at the guns. Where are the guns?
there's actually breakable rocks. They're hard to tell, but
Yeah, pick up one of the moves and you could shoot.
see if you move the lasers towards that one coming up at top there. That should the breakable.
This is
The
insane.
lasers are meant for mining.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Floating rocks everywhere. There's one.
Oh yeah. Whoa yeah.
I love
Awesome.
the side bouncing up. It's fantastic.
Uh huh.
I need a gun.
It's so
Look at the
cool.
wind effects, dude. Look at the wind effects.
So yeah,
What
thing to
is
shoot.
that? That's so cool.
We have loads of fun for you in here, guys, just to check it out.
Look at that
Hey,
film,
Liv.
man. Jesus.
Oh the arm.
Pistol.
Yeah.
What's that?
Go on, Justin.
Where's the gun?
Get the plat.
Justin has one.
Justin, get the platinum, man. Get the platinum. Yes.
Oh. So cool.
Destructible.
Whoa.
Look how cool this is.
That's quite the explosion.
Oh man.
Yeah, we
Literally RNA engines.
got a lot of people in here.
Very cool.
Oh my god. Oh my god. There's so
Awesome.
much going on.
That is phenomenal.
Freaking out right now.
There is a lot of
There's a lot of people in
orange
here right now.
Everything is
boxes.
If there
yeah.
wasn't so many of us, it's acting a little funny.
It's
'cause
the
there's
Rec
a lot
Room
of us in here
syndrome.
right now. Yeah.
Jason, I might pop back afterwards, dude. I might pop back afterwards and have a little look.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Shall we go start the meeting?
Let's go.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's
So
go
To the
Long
meeting room,
Valley
everyone.
meeting.
Amazing.
Hi ho. Ba-dum.
Oh my god.
Oh, David's disarmed me. Oh, alright, let's go to the...
And we're off. Did you get an invite, Dave? We're all headed out.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Okay.
so.
Eating donuts.
Awesome.
Look at
This
these
is it.
sweet costumes,
We'll
guys.
start with the coffee.
Yeah.
And then I want to show everyone.
There's, oh, can
Yeah.
you shut that on?
Oh, this coffee. I know. I didn't realize.
Portable
What's that?
PSVR.
You're going to put a suit on there.
Oh,
Little donut
We're
action
portable.
over on the other table.
We did it.
Nice.
Oh,
Take
there we
notes,
go.
Sony.
Look at that English.
That's so cool.
Oh, that's even better.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Oh.
Bust the hard stuff
green
out.
on
Yeah. Pour it into the coffee, you know. It's a good mix.
Oh.
Sorted donuts.
So good. I bring this with me. It's very important.
Look at this donut table, man. Breakfast
Oh,
and
what is
beer.
this?
So I can give you
Oh.
footage to it back.
That's important.
It won't let me eat my donut. There we go.
And it's awesome. That is so
Boom.
cool. This
Hey,
is so
Juice,
cool.
come here. Juice.
Awesome. Oh, you dropped your donut.
When
That's
you guys are
awesome.
ready,
5-second rule. 5-second rule. Thirsty
Yep.
robot.
Right? That's so cool.
Where's it? Where's the donut? Oh, donut.
Yeah.
to make it
Yeah, I want these first.
because everybody knows an
that?
I'll command the ship.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome.
It's almost
All
like a
right,
brand new
I'm heading to the
I know, right?
cannon, and I'll start shooting them. It's so cool.
Oh, that's a good point. There we go.
yeah. That'll work.
It's alright.
Five penny.
Look at
Let's
this.
see if I look good. Cool.
Oh, it's incredible.
Jeff and Matt from...
Alright then guys, we all ready?
Sure.
Cheers.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
All right.
Cool,
Yeah.
so what's up everyone? My name is GameTagVR, aka GT, and I welcome the viewers to the PSVR chat show. For those who don't know, this is developer chat about virtual reality inside virtual reality. I've been blessed with being the host for today's show. I'd like to start by thanking and introducing Matt Hostry and Jeff Isley. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It's great to be here.
Thank you for
Hey, thanks
coming,
for being
man.
here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are the creators and developers of Battle to Blood for the PlayStation VR. I also want to thank our incredible talented team, Velp, Dorky, and Jimif. They have made the world you are in today.
God.
In
Yeah,
Rec
great
Room.
job, guys.
It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible.
this is awesome.
See more than me.
Oh
It's
man,
amazing.
that shit
So
was
great to see.
absolutely
And Super
incredible.
Tramp Yuki.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Super Tramp. Yeah.
God, more than me.
No worries, man. I want to do a massive thank you to the show's producer, Jason Liven, a.k.a. The Glue, for pulling this all together. Good work, man. Well done. Thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah, man. We also have some of your favourite VR YouTubers. We've got God Cannon from PlayStation Underground, or PSVR Underground. We've got the Dave
Hey.
Station. We've got Justin. We've got Danish Gaming.
Yeah.
And Jimmy. I don't know if you're streaming, dude.
I'm not streaming, but yeah, I'll give you the wave.
VR God, how you doing, guys? So, for those watching and fans of Rec Room, please feel free to explore this world after the show's finished. Sit back, get comfy. And we also got 2 keys to give away. When this video is finished, all you've got to do is basically put down a comment, and in 24 hours, the favourite comment will get picked, and those the winners get picked afterwards. So, guys, if you're ready, I'd like to start with asking the biggest question. What was your main driving force behind bringing Battle to Blood, or making Battle to Blood a virtual reality game?
Sure. Like, one is we just love VR. VR is this new medium that just adds a lot of excitement to people that have made a lot of games before. We could do things that you could never do before. Also, it's just like it fit the fantasy, fit the medium well. You know, flying through the clouds is something you can't do in the real world, and we really just wanted to bring that to people, and we thought it was just the idea fit well.
Yeah.
Yeah, another
Yeah,
thing we
definitely.
liked about the game in VR is just it's really good. We really wanted people to be able to move through space. You know, really feel that sensation of just moving through space in a very VR friendly way, and being captive on an airship seemed an ideal model for that. You know, you could be there on your bridge where everything's flying by in an environment that's pretty approachable at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like most people and everyone else here, I'm sure, virtuality, when you experience it, it sticks with you. It makes a real impression. So I'll take it. What was your first impressions of VR?
Oh wow! Like, I mean, I think the first time I used VR, modern VR at least, way back when I was a child, I remember being at like a theme park or something where they had one that, you know, was still amazing. But I think it was the Oculus Development Kit. Actually, I got one of those because it looked cool, and I put it on and was just blown away. You know. Also, I got a really cool experience very early on when VR was just coming back, where I was working on the HoloLens for Microsoft, and they had these people from Stanford University show up and show us this ridiculous headset. I still haven't seen anything like it. It had it was like $30,000 or something, but it had the field of view was so big you couldn't see anything except for the virtual world. It was 4K per eye with no latency. And I saw all these people like being risen in the air and screaming. You know, they weren't actually being risen in the air, but in VR they were. And they were just screaming like it was so real to them. And I was like, why are they hamming it up? What is wrong with them? And then I put this thing on, and I literally started sweating because it's just so real, and my mind couldn't disconnect it. And I'm like, oh, this is the future. We have to do games in this. It was too cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And mine was the DK1 as well. It's the first time I really experienced it. It was just at a party, actually, at Matt's place. And I might have been drinking a little bit, which might have helped with the immersion. But I remember putting it on and going on a roller coaster, getting up at the top, and then just sitting down on the floor. It's like, this is not something that I was prepared for. And after that, I just kind of hooked on the idea, just the ability to put you in that place so quickly and so immersively, and just wanted to explore it as much as I could.
Yeah, just to be able to make something and go into it must be incredible. To visit what you've made, like these guys making this world, it must be amazing. You know?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So let's go back to your gaming origins. What other games have you worked on in the past?
Me and Jeff actually both worked together on Lord of the Rings Online and Dungeons and Dragons Online when we were at Turbine near the beginning of our career. After that, I worked on Fragments for the HoloLens, which is like this crime game that turns your whatever room you're in into a crime scene, which is pretty fun. And then just a whole bunch of other games outside of that I won't bore you with the whole list.
Yeah,
What about you, Jeff? You done any others?
Yeah, we worked together, as Matt said, on Lord of the Rings Online and Dungeons and Dragons Online. After that, I did a short indie stint on my own, a small game called Rustclad that sadly was never finished, but was a lot of fun to work on. And after that, I went over to Linden Lab and worked on Sansar for a couple of years, really laying the groundwork for the VR experience there, just building that all up. And then, it's been Tribe Toy since then.
Oh, sweet. So at what point did you decide to actually give yourself a name and a brand, solidly go at it? Is there a team of 6 of you, or is there 2 of you?
Yeah, our team right now is 5, but yeah, we grew to a maximum of 6. The way back when, actually, 2010, I think, I was working at a company called Tencent, which was Tencent Boston, which is like the Google of China, but they were having some Americans help them make MMOs. And at the same time, I was making a game on my side with the art director, who became the art director at Telltale, Tara Ruping, and Camille Chu, who became the lead animator on Shadow of Mordor. We were making Chu's Dynasty, which was just like fighting game, Super Smash Brother type idea. And, we built that, and we became Tribe Toy way back then, but all got jobs from that indie title. Like, Microsoft called me, and Tara ended up going to working at the ranch at Lucasfilm, and Camille ended up going to Monolith to do like Shadow of Mordor and stuff. And then after we worked at those other jobs for a while, we were like, hey, we really enjoy doing that indie thing together. Let's get back together and do that again.
Superb. Yeah, so
We're glad you did.
Yeah, thank you.
Man, yeah. So we got Cannon.
So, retro gaming time. What is you guys' favorite gaming console and maybe game that you grew up with, or got a lot of inspiration from?
My gaming console is Sega Genesis, actually. Favorite one.
Nice.
I have a funny story with that, where my father was in vending, so he had arcade games and such, but he hated Nintendo, because Nintendo would do this thing where they'd put out an arcade game and then put out the home game at the same time. So the arcade industry started losing a lot of money on Nintendo, but Sega would wait a year. So I was allowed to have a Sega, but I couldn't have a Nintendo.
That hatred runs deep.
The original console.
That's my favorite console. My favorite, I play mostly a lot of PC games. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, I think, might be my favorite game, and it's just because the way the story and the game integrate together, and it just is so seamless. I just love that game.
Very cool. Thank you. What about you, Jeff?
I gotta agree with the Genesis. It's I think it hit me at just that right time, and I've definitely been more of a PC gamer than a console gamer historically, but Sega was not my first love, but the one that I think that ran the deepest. As far as games go, I think it's a hard question, but maybe my favorite, the game I've enjoyed the most over the years is an old strategy game for the Macintosh called Pax Imperia back in the late 90s. And it was just a early 4X game, ridiculously complicated, buggy as hell, but just had some really fun ideas and paved the way for a lot of that stuff going forward. And I wish the sequel were better, but I'll always remember that one being my years of fun.
Really
Cool.
cool.
So, who had the idea to integrate the mobile app into the game? Personally, I don't know if one of you was on the stream. Someone was on my stream from Tribe Toy, and basically they let everyone know about it, and they told them where to get the code from, and it got really hard. Like, it was just, I got murked all the time. It was a nightmare. I was thinking, why am I doing so bad at this game? And then whoever was on the stream said, well, they're probably not trying to help you. And I was like, oh, right. Yeah, so what's that all about?
It was really neat for us, I have to say, when we gave out the codes for the game a couple that weekend before we launched, and had all the streams go up and be able to actually go in and participate with the games as they were playing. You know, as we were launching the game, we're also actively participating with other people that were enjoying it for the first time ever, and that was just, it was the coolest thing ever to see that. Yeah, as far as the mobile app goes, we really wanted the focus of the game to be on the single player relationship mechanics. You know, that's something that was always like the main, you know, one of our main features for the game throughout the entire development. And so, like, we wanted to find some sweet spot between letting people interact, you know, with, you know, their streamers and their audience, and at the same time, like, really be able to focus on that single player experience and the relationship mechanics. So kind of where the
50 players, doesn't it? Is it 50 at once or something?
Yeah, it's 50 right now.
Wow.
And yeah, it was just kind of a neat way to let people get in and contribute and help or hurt in fun ways. And yeah, we kind of wanted to keep. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, how does that affect development time? I mean, how hard is that to
It
integrate?
definitely, like, it added to it, and is one of those things, like, it's kind of a additional feature to the game. It wasn't like a core feature, so it was one of those things that a lot of the times through development we had to, like, really weigh, like, is this something that's really adding a lot? But every time, you know, we'd sit back and look at it, we'd be like, we really do like what this contributes to the overall thing. And so it's definitely added some time, but, you know, that also came into, you know, the scope of it. We tried to keep it really, like, focused on what we wanted to do, so it didn't become this monolithic, you know, like feature that took up, you know, derailed us from the core experience we were trying to build.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. So, in Battle of Blood, personally, I find some elements that remind me of Destiny. It seems to be like a big focus on a main battle. There'll be a couple of ships going at it. You know what I mean? And you got a choice of whether to keep going or get the key and get out of there. What games influenced Battle of Blood?
Influences for Battle of Blood, like, main influence, like, Faster Than Light, FTL was, like, big influence in that, you know, when it came out around the same time, or at least I started playing it about the same time as the DK1, and I was like, oh my god, a crew management captain game in VR would be incredible. And, like, that was, like, sort of the kickoff for that. Also, you know, I love MechWarrior. I love Star Fox. I love some of these, like, strategic shooters. Like, you know, there's a lot of you know, shoot forward fighter jet shooters, but there's not a lot of strategic shooters, almost like tanky sims, you know, submarine sims. So I wanted to pull some of those elements in. And then there's actually a lot of just non-game media that sort of influenced us too, like, you know, reality shows. Like, we hadn't seen a good there's been a lot of, like, people that make a game in a reality show trapping, but not someone who's done a reality show game where, like, the mechanics of the game have some reality show elements. So, and then, like, Hunger Games and things like that and other media was coming along too, and that was popular at the time. We're like, oh, that's you know, it's this Battle Royale kind of thing is just starting before Battle Royale. And then, you know, it's just all those influences sort of came in and, you know, you know, got us started.
Yeah, for sure. We've got Danish next, I believe.
Yeah. So something I wanted to ask was around the fact that, you know, during the events, during the gameplay, you've got lots of elements going on. You kind of touch a bit on, like, crew skills, ship management. So can you kind of talk a little bit about around what stopped you going, like, too deep and implementing, like, leveling and experience points and, you know, keeping it that kind of arcadey feel, because it doesn't, which is great. So yeah, can you just talk a little bit around that?
Yeah, sure. Like, one thing I really wanted to avoid is making the player grind. right? I really wanted, there's a lot of RPGs that focus on numbers going up, and a lot of times that can be artificial. Like, you're not really getting better at the game. Your numbers are going up, and that's how you're getting better. And I wanted to really allow the player's mind to grow. Also, like, for us, our progression, we wanted to try this thing where rather than just having a pure number going up, building relationships was sort of your progression. Like, as I make friends, it makes my life easier, right? As I make enemies, it can make my life harder. And sort of, showing this, hey, like, these relationships you build, they carry on, they matter, so getting people to think about that in real life would be nice too. That's all elements that sort of factor into that decision. I mean, I love RPGs. I love some progression mechanics. I don't think it was necessarily right yet for this game. In the future, maybe that's, if we could do it right, if we could make it part of the puzzle, it'd be something that'd be really cool. And in future products, it's definitely something I'd like to do. But again, I want to make more than numbers going up. I wanted to make it part of this puzzle that, people are actually getting better by the choices they make, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great answer as well. And I was just going to say, like, on the relationship point as well, that is such an amazing part of this game. Like, it's one of those things that you wouldn't expect coming into it. And then the choices are never easy. So, yeah, mad props for that, because every time I was agonizing over every decision.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome. Yes, if you felt something, I'm happy. That's great.
Yeah, man, that's cool. So we've got Dave Station next, I believe.
Yeah, so my question was about the control schemes, because I know, like, when you think of a game, I'm controlling a ship in the air, I'm shooting at stuff, your first thought is, I'll play this with DualShock 4 if I can. So the fact of it is, though, a lot of people say they prefer the moves over the DualShock 4. So I wondered, like, what you guys preferred internally, and also what kind of challenges you ran into designing a game like this that actually still felt really good without any sticks or anything at all,
Yeah, I think we're split internally on what we prefer, which is, good. I like the DualShock just because I'm a flight sim guy. I really like flying, and it's easier to fly into DualShock. Not having an analog stick on the moves definitely was a challenge. Way back in in my Microsoft days, I did a lot of natural user input, as I said, like the Kinect. I worked on that for a bit, and the HoloLens. And one thing I really wanted to avoid was sloppy input. And if you, like, for example, pointing where you want to go and clicking, or like something where you're like holding the move at an angle tends to be a little sloppy. Yeah. And that's why we ended up with basically mimicking sort of a D-pad feel. We also split the two move controllers. We felt it almost felt like ropes on a ship. If you're like hitting the buttons on one side of the move controller and hitting the moves on the other, it still gives you that binary input, but it also, it's sort of the best compromise we could make for giving you the really good aiming and such like that. I know Jeff has different feelings about things.
It's pretty neat, yeah. That it seems to be close to a 50-50 split on opinion. Maybe a little bit more leaning towards DualShock.
I was just going to say, can we do a show of hands? Who's on what? I mean, like, who's up for the DualShock here? Because I know I am.
I do love the DualShock.
Definitely.
No, move support all the way.
Always the DualShock.
All the way on the moves.
I like the moves. Yeah, I think that it's frustrating not having thumbstick. Yeah, it's like flying the ship is really hard on the moves, but just I like kind of like flying this way, focusing on this while I also kind of pick off this guy as I'm like going that way. And to me, like locking the head to where you had to aim, especially when you have to whip it around and shoot things, is like just makes me prefer the move style. But I feel like they both ended up pretty good. Like I said, I wish we could have gotten the ship flying just a little bit better for DualShock, move. But yeah, I feel like I like hearing that people are split on it. I think that's really good.
Yeah, no, you guys did a really good job. A lot of people struggle with movement, with the move controllers, but you guys, I think you nailed it. Best you could, I think, for this kind of games.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I played it with the moves, it definitely felt more interactive. It definitely felt, to me, more realistic in a way, especially when you've got to use the gun and stuff to take things. I preferred it, but for flying the ship, I definitely prefer the DualShock.
The multitasking.
So much more arcadey.
Yeah.
We had the DualShock working first, and then we got the moves working, and then at one point I pulled out the gun, and I was like, wow, this is way too easy. we need to make this harder, because this control scheme just makes it ridiculously easy.
Yeah, man. So for those of us, I don't know who else has, how many seasons they've done or anything, but for those of us lucky enough to survive the culling and get in the top 3, you've added the decisions of the relationships you've made or hampered, or whatever you want to call it, affects the end of the game. And I found that out the hard way. So that's really clever.
Yeah, we really wanted to, just reward different play styles. Like, it's totally a viable play style to just go through and murder all the challengers. But that'll you'll pay for that in the end. And also, like, we really wanted to like build that meta strategy. Like, even getting your friends voted off at the right time can help you, which is it's sort of it's something you wouldn't, like, a good person wouldn't do, but in a video game it's interesting to have that strategy there. And it's very reality show-esque, right? Where it's like, who do I need to put it off at this point? Who do I want to face in the end? Like, all those factors, are things to think about through the whole season.
Yeah, and as you play more, as you learn the relationships between not you and other characters, but the characters between each other, and you learn the strengths and weaknesses of their ships, you'll start getting preferences on who you want to be facing in that final gauntlet and whatnot, and you'll tailor a lot of your strategy around trying to make sure that your final challenge is what you have some control over that, because that can really matter.
Yeah. What made you not choose this to be at sea, for example? Because you're talking about ships, cannons. I mean, were you always going with a flying ship thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, like, one thing that we really wanted to do with VR is we wanted to give you that chance to do something you could never do in the real world. You could be on a ship in the real world, but you can't fly through the clouds on a ship. I guess you can wing walk or something like that, but outside of that, the other thing is just, like, as far as genre. I love sci-fi and I love fantasy, and one thing I've always sort of wanted to do is make a warm sci-fi. And what I mean by that is, like, sci-fi tends to be very external. All your powers come from your devices, where fantasy is very internal, like the power comes from yourself. So our universe, the fact that all technology in your world is powered by your blood and is like makes this power come from you, makes it internal, and it's sort of like a warm sci-fi where we have like this warm world you're flying through. You're not flying through the coldness of space. It's internal power, and those are all things we thought about to make it airships, right? Like, just doing something new and different.
Yeah. So then we've got Justin.
Yeah, so I really love the way you guys did the skills and abilities on the ship, and the way that you guys made it so you kind of have to balance what you pick and when you pick it. Were there ever any skills or abilities that you guys originally thought might work and really just didn't work out, or plans to add anything else to the ship to kind of change it up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we went through a lot of iterations with skills and abilities. I think even just what the rooms did on the ships probably changed like 4 or 5 times. Just like really trying to make it more apparent, like more. We did one thing we wanted to avoid as much as possible is it just being a stat increase. We wanted you to feel the change of moving the crew, and we really worked on that. In the future, it's something we definitely new crew probably won't happen, simply because having 2 crew on the ship is a really good balance between 5 rooms, 2 crew, and also it'd be VO constrained. But we might, consider adding new abilities or new skills in a future update.
Cool. Yeah.
Ooh. Great. So, were there or are there any plans to put in online elements of the game, like a competitive mode, or just a straight up like against one another PvP, or?
Yeah, we've talked about that so much. It's something that we keep going back to. I think really like what it came down to for Bout of Blood is we do have a pretty small team, and we really wanted to nail that single player relationship mechanic experience as much as we could. Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's we thought about it. We really like spent a lot of time going into what it would take, to make this multiplayer. And at the end, we just realized that any attention we put there to get it to where that needed to be, we probably couldn't have gotten the relationship system to where it needed to be, and so it just was but going forward, if Bout of Blood becomes a massive hit, everything's of course on the table. As we get more resources, we'd love to consider it. And
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
it. Yeah.
and any future projects, of course, it's definitely on the table.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Yeah, so the release of Battle Blood didn't actually affect your studio as such as in size-wise. Are you still the original 6, or was there any thoughts about expanding or anything?
Right now we're 5. It's so we met with 6 just for a short time, and then we went back down to 5. But as far as that, like, we're sticking at this size for now, just during the support of Battle Blood. You know, we're working on the next update. You know, which is going to have difficulty. We're adding difficulty modes. We're adding some new enemy types, some new events. We've also improved our procedural engine. So you're going to see when you go into the explore zones, which are more about exploring in particular, you're going to see a lot more variation there.
Nice.
And then, so that's coming, and then we have a pretty big announcement that we can't talk about yet, but we'll be talking about for Battle Blood that we'll be talking about next year. So right now we're just staying with the current studio size until, you know, we get to the later support phases of Battle Blood, and then, you know, depending on what our next project is and where we're moving, we'll, you know, talk about growing from there.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah, man. Sweet. Has anyone else got any questions or anything? I'm going to quickly get a cup of coffee. That's all right.
Looks like Adkins raising his hand.
The announcer at the beginning, does he have any relation to either David Lee Roth or Guybrush Threepwood?
Oh,
he is. You talk about the art of the voice actor.
Yeah. Oh, the artwork.
Yeah, the artwork.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's been a lot of speculation about who that is. I believe our art director just was like, I'm gonna draw a character that really, you know, just fits the writing. And we had this this character named Demos, who is, you know, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he on my side? Is he not? You know, like, we sort of wanted that vibe, and that's sort of what she came up with. And then, you know, he was of course voiced by the great Greg Chun, who's amazing, who does, like, you know, Nier Automata. He's World of Warcraft guy. He's the hamster I'm sorry, not the hamster, the monkey in Overwatch. He does so much good stuff. So
wow,
it's amazing.
Yeah, man. So that man's eyebrows were always. None of you ever questioned the size.
Well, you know,
they never come up.
We figured, you know, we had some research that said the bigger the announcer's eyebrows, the higher your game would rate. So we just, you know,
true story.
So we just went as big as we could, you know. We thought about making him cover the whole screen at one point, but we thought it might, you know, just a little too try hard. So
Next time, get a little bit more in there.
Add those eyebrows around the icon of the game. Just add them raising up and down.
Yeah, the hair coming off through the letters and stuff, you know.
Yeah, dude.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So what do you want to do then? I mean, anyone else got any questions or anything? Free fly?
I got a question.
Oh, yeah, he's going.
Oh, the community event. You know how it's like a treasure hunt? Are there any tips you could share? Because I've been searching for hours.
That's still going on, right?
It's no one has anyone here found the first clue?
I mean, we've looked.
No.
I've looked.
I feel like I would say that, like, if we're gonna give a tip, one of the things I'd say, there's a couple in that first paragraph. There's something about things being dead that I would think about in terms of location, and then think about, like, very much like a Goonies, right, or like like one of those things like that when they're like, oh, I looked through the, you know, they'd be like, oh, those two mountains are, you know. Like, they talk about them not as mountains, but as, like, the sisters or something like that. So think about, like, when it's telling you to, like, from a view of something, it's a structure that looks like that thing. I think that's a little bit of a hint, and, like, over time, I think if no one's got it, we'll start poking a little more and just sending out a little more stuff. And then, like, if, it doesn't get out, and then if no one's found it by the next update, we'll just move it to the one after. And, but we will be sending out little hints along the way if people haven't made progress. And if anybody does find the first clue, let us know. We're really curious.
Yeah.
I'll keep
that line, port eyeball rest. That's an important one in that first.
Yeah, see, that one threw us off.
Over and over and over. I'm like, all right, how deep is this clue? Like, how much do I decipher each word?
You saved it as your screensaver on your phone. It's with you always.
I have. I took a screenshot so I can keep looking at it.
I love it.
Decoder.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Decoder disc.
I will not to discourage you, but I will say the second clue in particular is a hard one. Once you get by the first.
Wow.
When you find it, I think you'll. Yeah, it's. We were afraid. It's funny when we did it. We're like, oh, people are gonna get like. It's when you're designing things. Sometimes you're like, know the puzzle, so you're like, oh, this is too easy.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh no, it's not at all. So it's funny.
Cool.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
What's your favourite special weapon? Because obviously you got the beam, which is completely devastating, but you got to get it spot on or you're done. So what's like your favourite special weapon out of all the specials? What's the best one? You know what I mean?
I don't. Mine started with the beam. The beam's just really devastating, as you say.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
The torpedo is super useful for setting up fights too, though. So I've been looking at that a lot. And then I do use barrage the least, or homing missile. I'm sorry, homing missiles. We rename them sometimes internally. Nova bomb is torpedo, and homing missile is barrage. So homing missile is something we might buff a little bit, just because I think it's probably the least useful, at least in my experience.
That's the one. Well, that's the one I kept going to, but then I realised
Me
it wasn't
too.
very good. I was like, oh man, because it can help you, but then when you do the beam, like the beam's devastating.
Yeah. Simple and straightforward. I like the beam. It's especially one of my strategies is to save up as many beams as I can till the final gauntlet and use that just to get the edge early on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's completed the game?
I mean, I've never beaten it. I've been several seasons in, never beaten it. I've gotten second place.
I heard there was one guy who was claiming that he had actually beaten it on his first try, which you guys said never happened before, right?
We got two now, 2 or 3 actually that have done it.
Is there a way to verify? Can you check and make sure they're not just full of shit, essentially?
Not really, unfortunately. We don't have like any access to telemetry, which is sad. But I do know one of the people that did it was a friend, so I trust that guy. And then the other 2, I'm guessing they're telling the truth, at least one of them, because it came across as, dude, I already finished your game, give me more to do. So I was like, yeah, dude, we're gonna have difficulty modes in the future. For people that haven't beat it, a couple strategies I'd just say is like, factor in like think about the fight you're about to get into before you get into it, because like setting your ship up to before you get into the fight will make a huge difference. Don't undersell the sensor room. The sensor room, in my opinion, is the most powerful room in the game. It's also the most situational.
That was going to be my next question. Like, I don't hardly use. I always have one person on the shield and one person on the guns. That's it. And just moving around to fix things. I was going to ask.
Oh, it makes a huge difference. Like if you put a person in engines, it becomes a lot easier to dodge. Sensors makes missiles not home on you, which is really powerful. And it also, snipers, you know how they do that thing where they're like, they lock on you? It'll break their lock, so you have a chance to dodge that. And it also, even the beamers that go shoot, shoot, shoot like that with their beam, it gives you a little more time to get out of the way of that beam. So sensors become really powerful. Like if you're fighting like a named carrier that's spawning elite skiffs, slamming someone on Mashi or a smart drone, and the turret is really useful. Just because like turrets will take out those little targets really quick, and the drone will just continuously disable any type of enemy that has super really powerful abilities. Wow. And then with challengers, like and essence spikes. Not many people use the essence spikes, and they're really powerful. So there's a button beneath each column for the blood, and if you hit it, it'll give you like infinite blood in that column for a while, which means you could just be like infinite overshield or infinite like AP tracking missiles, right? And you can just annihilate a target pretty quick, or just like stun lock a guy with your smart drones and just keep him stunned. So there's a lot of like advanced like mechanics there that are sort of discoverable that we don't tutorialize. That being that like as you play through the game, if you master like a few of these different systems, you'll have enough. You'll be able to beat it. You don't have to master them all. And then and if we had a harder difficulty modes, which we will, it'll be about mastering more of those systems, using your life, your directional life more, like using your essence spikes when you should, and moving the crew and the blocks. But just learning the enemies is a big part of the game.
Yeah, and just to add to that, the drones will usually take out an enemy's shields, and the AP cannon will usually take out an enemy's armor. So managing those two specials as you approach the fight.
If you go like drone, AP cannon, AP, and then start shooting it, that you blow away 2 of their life bars pretty much instantly, and can just rip them to shreds.
Oh wow. Nice.
Yeah.
I like how this is becoming a strategy guide.
I love it. Taking notes.
I need the help. I
was going to say, I need it as well. Yeah, man. Coming second, that gauntlet at the end was... and obviously, when you help someone, you actually feel relief, because they give you like 3 little ships. You're thinking, actually, I've got a gift as well. Or one of them.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. But then if they don't like you... It was hell. It was hell.
Did you get to guys at the end and end up? You said you got second, so you did.
Yeah.
Who'd you end up fighting against?
The bent guy.
Oh, Silas the Bent.
Silas the Bent.
Yeah. Silas he's got that beam cannon that's pretty devastating.
Yeah, it was hard. I was so close. I reckon he had like 3 or 4% health.
It
was awful.
Yeah, another strategy with that final gauntlet is. If they both hate you going into it, they'll both go towards you, but maybe one of them's your friend. You might get a little bit of a head start.
Yeah, the best, if they both end up loving you but hating each other, that's the best setup you can get, because then they'll go after each other a little bit before they even look at you, which is nice.
Yeah. You mentioned Oculus earlier. Why did you choose PlayStation VR?
When we really just approached Sony early on and said, hey, we got this game idea, and they're like, we need some funding to help build it, and they were behind that, they helped us out there and said, hey, yeah, we'll help you out. We're trying to support our platform, and this seems like a cool game we'd like on it. So it was really just a partnership with them that allowed this to happen. Otherwise, we could have never built it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, they've done a really good job, I think, nurturing things that end up being really cool exclusives in the end.
Absolutely,
and, people on an Oculus are like, shit, I kind of want to play that, even though my PC is so beefy, whatever, can't play some of those best games.
Yeah, and I think that one of my favorite things about their headset is that you don't have to, there's no setup. With a lot of the headsets, there is some setup. There's I plugged it in and it doesn't work today, because where the PSVR, you put it on, it just works, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I had a DK2 and basically nothing worked. I'd have to it would crash every 2 seconds, and config would be completely different from experience to experience. And so the PSVR was just night and day from that.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and another thing that came up the other day, someone said to me, they went to London to play Mario Kart VR on the HTC Vive.
Yeah.
And I said to him, how did it look? And he said, I couldn't see anything because I couldn't wear my glasses.
Wow.
I said,
PSVR is surprisingly comfortable. Yeah, it's for the cheapest of the headsets. Especially when you're spending hours and hours in development, it's important that it's a headset you're willing to wear for a long time. And it surprised me how comfortable it was to have it on.
Yeah, for like 8 to 10 to 12 hours some days. It's a long time to be in VR.
It is. You get quite hot in it as well.
But we all know about that. So, the 12 hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, these guys, you've been in it for hours, haven't you, lately?
Yeah, all those guys, those guys especially.
It's awesome.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, I think I was cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Do you guys, what made you decide on the art style or the colour palette used in the game? Because it's very graphic novel.
That was our art director, Tara, who was also the art director for Tales of the Borderlands. She really was inspired, like things like, Mobius was the big inspiration. You know, the little dots you see on things all over.
Yeah.
So, French comic books, heavy metal was another like inspiration. So, a lot of cool things.
All the things I was thinking of then.
Cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
I do. Anyone else got any questions, or are we wrapping up? Because I want to go back to that room as well after this, if that's okay.
Of course. No, just thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming by.
Yeah,
Thank you
so much.
It's been
thank you.
Matt Hunt, thank you ever so much.
Oh.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
He's gone.
Thanks very much.
See y'all soon.
He was like, all right, well,
He vanished.
Live.
There he is.
Oh, yeah.
It's a magic trick.
We're going to take a picture with you guys. We usually take a picture and we'll leave it in the room. That way people can come by and see. I'll send it to RecNet, and then you guys can have it for yourselves as well.
Cool.
You want to take it in front of the sign, guys?
Oh, yeah.
That was a great idea.
The sign? All
That'd
right.
be good.
Totally.
It's got a tripod.
I'm going to go put the outfit on now.
yeah, I was gonna. Y'all want to wear the outfits?
Oh, wait, let me get a beer real quick.
Oh, we should get the developers in the outfits.
Yeah,
y'all want to wear guys should wear them.
All right.
Good idea.
I thought that was the best you asked me a question about the move controllers while you're holding them.
Yo, Cannon, let one of them wear that outfit, and then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I got the breakout box attached
Cool.
to me too.
I love the PlayStation Pro on your back.
So sweet.
Thank you so much, Prophet. Well done.
And thanks, Cannon. Where you go? Thanks for reminding me about the picture. I almost forgot.
Okay, yeah, no problem, man. Oh yeah.
Will.
Awesome.
Hey, Will. Stream surfing.
You didn't want to be Ellie, Jeff?
Bad blood.
You guys aren't getting in?
I'll move to the side, man. There we go.
You're part of this crew? What are you doing?
Get in the phone.
Come on in.
Yeah, come on, guys.
This is your world.
Picture.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've done everything. Look at it. Look how awesome that looks.
yeah.
Woo!
You got us all in, Jason? Do we need to move?
Trying to find a good spot.
I got everybody.
Come up front.
I just need to find myself a spot before I hit that button.
One's empty.
All right. Tripod.
Hearing all these bottles breaking.
Yeah, that beer is driving me nuts.
Right. Clink, clink.
I'll fit in the back here somewhere, I guess. There we go.
I can
We can just jump, Jason. We can jump.
Oh, no, my camera disappeared.
Well, here, I'll go in the back, and you just go where I was.
We'll get it right. Yeah, that's it. Got to press on it.
I have to get a little closer, I guess. There we go.
And we might have to do a bit of laser tag as well, maybe.
If you guys have time, that's up to them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wish I could stick around. Fun.
Yeah.
You can't take that outfit with you, Dave.
Right.
There you
I have to
go.
fit in somewhere in here.
Do you
so I
want
don't
to
go
take
too
my
far away.
spot,
I
and
don't
I'll
wanna block
go?
anybody, though.
Here, I'll go in the back, and then you go.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome, yeah, we're good.
Cool.
Now I have to look like I'm pointing at the camera, because that's the only way I can do it. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, woo!
What?
Oh, did I get it?
Oh, no.
It fell. Hold on, one more time. It's just failing.
It's like real pictures.
It's like, yeah, I was going to say.
This is like worse than asking a waiter to take a picture.
Yeah, right.
It's so worth it.
Between virtual to reality.
It's going to be in the room forever. Ready?
All right.
Yeah.
3, ready? 1, 2, 3. Hey,
There you go. That's it. Awesome.
All right,
So
you guys got to see.
Came out pretty good.
Cool, yeah, that's...
Cool.
Amazing. Nice.
Wow, yeah, I love that. I'm going to move out of the way so everyone can get a good look.
That's awesome. Oh, now it's floating around. Oh.
That's awesome.
Nice. Well done, guys.
Yeah, so that
awesome.
If you ever log into your rec.net account online, you can see all the pictures of me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man. He's like eating it. I hear country. Yeah.
I'm eating donuts.
Cool. How's my hair look?
Nice.
So good.
There you go.
Well done.
Looks floppy.
Canon, I was
it looks better
or something from over here.
The print didn't come out that way, but it'll get the whole thing. The whole thing's on there.
What'd you say?
I didn't know it was
It said it doesn't show everything on here, but it will on mine.
Oh, yeah. It's a wider picture.
I never looked
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
my
actually,
rocks, bro.
That's my real hair.
That's great.
And then cheating.
Awesome show, guys.
Thank you. Hey, great job again, you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys.
Thank you.
Very much.
You created a masterpiece.
Fantastic.
Thank you for having us.
Game in action.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for making an amazing game.
Thank you.
Right.
Nice
Yeah, people always
Amazing
seem to love
stuff.
that too when we do that afterwards, but it's always up to
Take a look at this real quick.
It looks so great, man. That Storky made those. She did a good job on all of it.
Thank you.
Actually, she did
Yeah.
most of the stuff in here.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Don't give up when
Main
you
artist.
Thanks, Alan.
Cool.
Appreciate
The,
you.
the master automator, the king
Check this
of
out.
Rec
Yeah,
Room.
it's pretty crazy.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining the...
Awesome job.
Amazing, man.
I'm going to cut it off now.
Amazing. GT.
This room will be available.
You know,
We need to shoot. There's a way you can do the smooth moving stuff. If you don't want to do it.
Awesome job, man.
So wonderful.
Nice.
Alright, yeah, I'm gonna go.
There he is, there's Dave. There's Jim. There's everything.
They should.
I told them what you said yesterday.
You have to squeeze.
Awesome.
You made
There
this thing.
you go.
Nice.
Great.
Alright, well, it's at the beginning of the stream.
Love what you guys did.
Oh no, where's the coffee pot gone?
I'm drinking out of
It's
it.
great talking to people.
You want a sip?
Yeah, there is.
It's like drinking out of the milk
All we see
carton.
is the big one.
It's awesome.
Born in a barn, was you?
There's a rebel with a
Yeah,
cause.
right. Born
Could
on
I
the
have a
bomb.
cup of donuts?
One, two, three,
Cup of
four.
donuts.
Who's?
Cup of donuts. Oh no! 5-second rule.
There's a
Right.
I want to get that ship on the screen, but obviously we can't all fit in it because it'll crush again.
Oh, yeah. You're probably better off doing it with
Thank
one
you
or
very
two
much.
people in there when you
Yeah,
go
man.
in.
I'll go with Jim if you want. Whatever.
Yeah, go this trip. We'll do this. We can do.
Yeah, go do your thing. But are you taking off?
Oh, you leveled
Yeah,
up.
I'm taking. I gotta go.
Thank you for coming,
Brother.
Dave.
There you go.
That's alright,
Yeah,
Will.
great show as always, guys.
We'll be here if you ever want to see
Yeah,
it.
man. GT, great show.
Bunch of streams up on it.
Bacon.
Thank you, everyone.
Yuki.
How did we get there, Jimmy?
Jeff, thank you for coming again, man.
Well, you guys are going back there, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Can't wait.
We need to do it. We need to go
Great
on
work,
our
What are we
guys.
doing with them?
Seriously
What are we doing
awesome.
with them?
Live,
They're up for
Jimmy.
gaming. What do you want to do with them?
Oh, let's go
Already.
laser tag then.
Ken,
We could do it.
Alright.
We could do
Cannon,
it with
look
people
up.
for laser tag. Who wants in?
There we go.
I'll go.
Mouse skills.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you guys are there.
See?
So that's two already.
was there anyway.
3, 4, 5. We need 3 more people for laser tag.
I'm in.
Meet.
tagging up.
Meet.
Alright, do you want to play laser tag?
Me.
Okay, yeah. We'll play.
Again? Yeah, sure.
Excellent.
That makes me muted, I think.
Sure. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I can talk.
1,
There's
2.
a lot of background noise, so that's why I was muted.
Laser tag.
We got 10. I can sit out.
I mean,
I can sit out.
you know,
too.
I'll sit out
That
because I'm gonna
works.
go eat. I'm gonna go eat. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'll be out. That's perfect.
Thank you for coming in, Justin.
No,
Yeah,
thanks for
you're
having
welcome.
me. You
Thanks.
guys,
Thanks,
Yeah.
Justin.
you're
You wanna sit
awesome.
out? You
You're
wanna
awesome.
Go? I can sit out. It's not a
That's
big
all
problem.
good. I need to take a break.
Cool guys.
I see you later, dude. Thank you for
I
your
just want to
help.
make,
Yep.
make sure y'all
Awesome
have
show.
enough, though. That's all I wanted to make sure.
Well, yeah.